The regular meeting of the planning board. Could all rise for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you call the roll, please?
John Delco.
Here.
Maria Mills-Bennett.
Here.
Bo Boatney.
Here.
Mike Arminio.
Here.
Thomas Jordan.
Here.
Jason White.
Here.
Lance Green.
Here. You sure, Tom?
Pretty sure.
Hesitation.
Pretty sure.
You acted like you didn't want to be here.
Signed.
Consideration of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Call the roll. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
John Delco.
Yes.
Maria Mills-Bennett.
Yes.
Bo Boatney.
Yes.
Mike Arminio.
Yes.
Thomas Jordan.
Yes.
Jason White.
Yes.
Lance Green.
Yes. Case number 17-400005, Master Development Agreement and Conceptual Development Plan, Inland Wheat Trust, PUD. Tim Berman.
We have a big crowd tonight.
Tim Berman, Community Developer.
Yeah.
Big run out on you?
So let him go home and do some Christmas shopping. Tim Berman, Community Development. The request is basically the small piece of property rezoning or establishing an MDA. Basically, it will allow for a single-family home to be built on this property. It currently is zoned PUD, so we're just establishing that master development agreement. As part of this MDA, there's language written in there that a small portion of the property on the corner, I think basically would be the west corner then, would be dedicated to the city of Port Orange as right-of-way, which we would be using toward the Yorktown Boulevard extension. So that's written in there, and we basically have worked with the property owner and we'll be moving forward to get that small piece of property, which we'll be able to use as we move forward with that Yorktown Boulevard extension project then. So staff is recommending approval of the master development agreement, and if there's any questions.
All right, so I went out there and looked at it, and this is a funky little piece of property. This is a funky little situation, if I'm correct. So the property will not be accessed at all from inside the Willow Run side on James Sykes Drive, right?
That would require essentially a bridge. And if you've looked at the bridges that were built over the canal recently, the one that's between Oak Brook and Hidden Lake, I think, you know, those are the type of bridges that would be required there. So,
right.
In order to get access, that's what was initially, going to have to be done. Then once we started looking at Yorktown and kind of the alignment, and we saw that, a portion of that property would be needed, then is we started talking to that property owner, and in this case, we'd get that area, and then we'd basically do a road stub out, driveway stub out for that one lot then. And
and that's what that exchange is that that stub out for that.
Right. And currently it's zoned PUD. It was part of a PUD back in the 1980s, and that MDA never got recorded, so it got stuck with that PUD zoning. So there's essentially no permitted uses on it right now. It's got future land use for residential. Basically this not only gave the ability to build a single family home on there, but also allowed us to secure that right away.
So if you approve this today and it moves forward through council, how does the guy access the property?
It would have to wait till Yorktown Boulevard is constructed, which we put in there that that has to be constructed and accepted.
He won't pay to just to pave it to his driveway.
He doesn't access it now in any way, I guess.
No, I mean
no.
4x4.
Yeah.
And a jump.
Okay.
And a jump.
All right.
So if it shows that if we get the MDA and we'll have the deed of dedication that'll go with council at the same time in January. If he chose this later date to build a bridge over there, then.
All right. So how does that drainage ditch play into this property?
I mean, we basically shown in here. We've looked at it on the survey. We've indicated the proper easements will be required off there for our maintenance to get in there. Those will be all required when that site's developed then, and then it leaves a developable area for a home then. So
but it's a dedicated drainage easement?
Yeah, basically there's the drainage canal goes through right now, and basically the code says that basically when you develop properties, when you have to give us the easement 20 foot beyond the top of the bank. So we've indicated that in the MDA. That would be secured at the time a building permit submitted, similar to Cornerstone. They had to do that when they developed it. Okay. So we put all the parameters in that MDA to assure that we get our proper easements, and basically that right away in exchange, they basically get zoning on the property for a single family home. To move forward then.
All right, so I'll ask one last question. So is there no way that this property would ever be accessed from this other side from this Sykes Boulevard?
If they chose to invest in
A bridge.
a bridge over there,
It could
they
be.
could propose that then, but you know, the cost
It's a
of that
bunch
for
of
one
bucks.
home,
That would
it
All right, I'm
would
just,
be,
Yeah.
just asking.
Yeah.
Mike, anything of Tim?
Yeah, is this going to push the Yorktown extension for quicker? If this guy wants to develop this property, how's he going to? I mean, like we're saying, how's he going to?
I mean, we still have to work with the property, the larger land over the north, which we're currently working on there.
But I mean,
this-
dragging it past Cornerstone, like we were talking about when they were going to do that project, to
Yeah, this is
do
key,
that.
this
in
is
time.
key to basically make that bend to go around there.
Yeah.
On there then, so that's, you know, just one more, one more property, and it shows that we're moving forward there. As we can, and we're continuing to work with the property owners to the north. We were just able, you know, move on this one a little bit quicker, and to get that and secure that property.
But from what I understand, the last time we were talking about Cornerstone, that the funding is there, is available for that stretch of Cornerstone.
We have funding for that stretch then, if the north area there. And at the council meeting on Tuesday night, we were able to get the Yorktown Boulevard extension established as a fair share project. And basically then about 30 minutes later, the Westport Reserve subdivisions, which you guys saw a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that came up, and they made, as part of their fair share payment, they paid toward that Yorktown Boulevard project then. So
Good.
Nice.
we've got that too, and that's another piece of the puzzle basically to start getting more money for design and construction then. So we're getting, you know, the ball, you know, we're continuing to move forward like you guys have asked us to do on that one. It's just these, you know, small steps that we got to do to get to the ultimate goal.
I was surprised to see Cornerstone was done. I mean, it's ready. It's is it platted, approved plat?
Yeah, I
Wow.
think basically we're trying to wrap up the final acceptance letter here,
Right.
hopefully tomorrow then.
It really looks good.
I went by that.
So hopefully that accelerates that Yorktown extension, at least to that point.
I think it will.
Yeah, it's going to have to.
Tom, anything of Tim?
I'm trying to figure out how much house can be built on this with when you consider
When we looked
the
at, we took
canal and all that.
We took the survey and basically based the easement off there, and then the setbacks that are proposed here.
Right.
And it pretty much creates about a 30 by 100 foot building pad. So, you know, I mean, if you built a rectangle house, 3,000 square feet, you know, if you want, you know, 2 stories above, then you know, you get a pretty good size, you know, home on there. I mean, when we're looking at the other homes that we've got on there in the area, then we've, you know, especially when you look at the homes in that area, we made the property owner aware of that's the building area, and even if, you know, he rezoned to the, you know, standard R8 7 district there,
Yeah.
those easements are still going to apply.
I mean, it's a unique piece of property, but it is definitely
built a triangle.
challenged. But
Well,
you're out there on your own little island.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking
Literally.
yeah, because this lot is already online for sale. It's been listed for sale. It's a unique piece of property, I agree, but it's also quite questionable because what I'm worried about is traffic on Yorktown once it gets through, and having one single house driveway that accesses Yorktown.
I mean, it'll be, you know, right in, right out then.
But you're gonna have
Really?
Cornerstone. You're gonna have Cornerstone as well, though, Tom. You know.
No, I understand. Yeah. As far as subdivisions, it's
I mean,
this is a
Yeah, but it's going
Residential
in
house
off
driveway.
Yorktown.
Yeah.
it's just very, very weird.
It keeps it rural. That rural feel.
I guess I'm just, you know, we get these projects like this, and I guess you call it the infill, but I don't want to have us create a problem where somewhere down the road, whoever buys this piece of property, if they ever do, all of a sudden they're struggling with how to fit it into the pattern they want, to the setbacks, the setbacks off the canal, access. It just seems like we're
Don't lead
creating
to a variance.
future nightmare down the road.
And or variance. You can't have variances come back on
They
this,
have
right?
to apply for an MDA. I mean, when you look at basically lots that are being built, you know, similar to this area, you know, basically they're, you know, 1,400 square foot homes, 2,000 square foot homes, and we've got basically a building pad that's, you know, 3,000 square feet then. So it's basically in line with the other homes that are getting built in this area. It's, you know, greater building footprint area
Okay.
than what's around there. And I think too, it's, you know, it's going to be a recorded document. So if it is sold, then in terms of doing their due diligence on the property, this will come up. And I think, you know, we tried to lay everything out in that MDA agreement, not try to clutter it up there. So it's a pretty clear cut document
Wow.
as to what can be put in there.
There's
Right.
a lot of work to be done for one little piece of
Well,
property.
yeah.
you might be trying to, I mean, it'd be, to me, it looks like it would be one of those things that Karachi could buy that property as part of the land north of there because,
In retention pond.
yeah. I
And
mean,
we've been
it's just something-
we've been talking with the property owners, and they're aware. We've showed them the surveys that we have in the area there, and, you know, specifically told them here's the area you're going to be working with, and, you know, they're fully aware of that then, as they move forward then.
That's about 3/4 of an acre there, correct?
Yeah, it's a little over.
How much of that's high and dry?
It's probably, I'd say about that south quarter there.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is basically just the bank of the canal, and then it takes that 20-foot easement then,
A
so.
lot of it's ditch.
Yeah. I saw
A
that.
lot of it.
Wetlands?
Well,
Okay. Stay with you, Tom.
yeah, I guess that's part of my concern is, are we creating a problem with flooding? The canal, it always works, I know that, but
I mean, that's what we, put in there, get our necessary easements.
I'm
and-
being sarcastic. What happens to the poor guy? He builds a house and all of a sudden, that canal just decides to go up over.
I mean, in some cases, he's, at the same distance away as the lots
Yeah.
that were proposed on Cornerstone,
I get
and so
that.
they'll
That's
have to
true.
be built per our standards. We looked at that from that standpoint, basically.
And I don't think it's in a flood zone,
Those sidewalks flood really bad, and Cornerstone's gonna add more to it because you got pervious, parking lots, and you got driveways and all that. It always adds more stormwater.
I mean, they've got, those Cornerstone designed their stormwater ponds for
Is
their
it internal?
facility.
It's going to try to help take
Yeah.
care of the other flooding issues down there, right?
Well,
I mean,
it's self-containing.
Yeah, they're not gonna, they're gonna basically address their
handle
concerns, and
theirs,
we'll
not-
basically send it elsewhere then, so they'll
Right.
address theirs then.
Yeah.
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 All right, that's all I've got.
No,
I think everything that I've covered is pretty much there. The bridge you were talking about is the one that's got the big hump.
The wooden one.
Yeah.
With the
I
big
don't think it'd
hump.
be that wide, but basically you get a general idea of the type of bridge that would be required to go over that canal.
Well, they have to have something to get heavy equipment across there.
how is that justified, or how is that bridge laid out? It's not is that like a DOT specification type of bridge with drainage and so on, because the drainage is an easement, and
Talking about the one.
if he was gonna come off of whatever
I think
drive?
they would look at basically in terms of making sure that that bridge is high enough in terms of, the worst case scenario with flooding in that canal doesn't get taken away. It's kind of why you see the Oak Brook Bridge with the high arch there. I mean, it's basically gonna be something similar to this. Might be a little bit less restriction since it's serving one individual lot.
Crazy bridge.
But it's gonna be, it's not gonna be a simple,
Yeah, I mean, it's a $150,000 bridge on a 3/4 acre lot.
At least. Yeah, this is more than a house.
you'd have to really
Yeah.
like to build on that lot there.
Is that
the
bridge wooden, the one in Oak Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wooden bridge, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you've ever been over it, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a severe arc. I mean, it's
I've
a
seen
hump.
been by it many times, but
It's
I've
not
never driven
practical.
over it. Yeah.
People were
No.
complaining. People were complaining
Nobody's
that they were using it for a jump ramp. I think.
Skateboard.
Anything else for Tim?
Can he
No,
build
I'm
on
good
this?
with- I'm good.
Can he? At what point could he actually build something on this property, or anyone build something on this?
It would
property?
require basically Yorktown to be constructed because you would
Says
you need
who?
to have that road there in order to
We
get your
can't-
CO to build, CO to start operating the home.
Yeah,
That's not true.
Well, how's he going to get through there, though, Lance?
Here again, everybody's got to have access to their property somehow or another.
I mean, he could build a
What-
bridge across there.
That's his only access?
That's his only access that
He goes
exists right
through
now.
somebody
then.
else's property.
He can't go down the right of way of Yorktown to get there, right?
Unless
No,
he-
So
exactly.
technically, his point of access is off that street.
Right.
But realistically, it's going to be off of Yorktown. Okay.
But he could put in a bridge
Or wait till Cornerstone goes through
and start.
He could put him some logs over there.
Yeah, you can build by hand.
You good, Nick?
He can buy a kayak. Move on.
Bo?
I forgot what I was going to ask you. Now, if he wanted to build it before Yorktown was constructed, could he not access from the
I
back?
mean, we've indicated that to basically the drive, if he's going to use that driveway off of Yorktown as the point of access to the property, that, prior to basically getting the CO to, occupy the home, Yorktown had to be a dedicated operating public right of way then. Basically, if he's, we're getting close to getting Yorktown completed, he could pull the building permit to start the construction there, but basically, individual will not be able to live there until Yorktown is a public road.
But he
That's
could
what-
access
You have
temporarily.
access for public
Yeah.
utility, fire
To
truck,
the back.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Yorktown's.
I went by today, by school was letting out. I'm just trying to imagine what that's going to look like when all those homes are in there.
That's why the
It'll be
extension.
better when
few years from
Yorktown's done.
Well, I sure hope so, because it took me,
It's a nightmare through
took me
there
a
now.
while to get through there. That's all I have. Thank
Leads me
you.
to a question. So is the Yorktown Boulevard it's not dedicated there yet, is it? It's not technically a dedicated right-of-way yet.
Not right there, basically.
Behind Cornerstone, it's not, there's
Yeah,
not a
basically,
footprint that says,
the right-
this will be Yorktown Boulevard's,
That's what we're acquiring as we go through.
but
I
it's
think.
not there now, right?
Not there now.
Okay.
But you got it from Cornerstone. You got the right.
We got it from Cornerstone,
You
right?
got it from this guy.
Well, we haven't got it from, it's in the MDA that's going through, and when we go to council with it, we'll get it then. This is
So-
just, this is.
Okay,
So
well,
that's where the
framework
line
stuff.
was gonna be.
Okay, well, wait a minute, you just rebucked my question. Do we have it or not? Here behind Cornerstone?
Not until it goes through.
If you look, can we pull the map here, basically, we have it right to essentially that pink line right there. Basically, so Cornerstone has given us all the necessary right-of-way for Yorktown Boulevard.
Okay, that was my question.
This is the next step into basically get that corner to continue the Yorktown alignment.
All right, that was my question, but we have it behind Cornerstone right now, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay,
Yeah,
cool. Go ahead, anything for Tim?
No, I think I'm good.
John?
That was one of the questions, because that southern corner currently has no agreement for them. And I see how the conception with the Yorktown Boulevard is, where they relocate the front property line and then they add the front setback, and that's giving him his limited
Driveway, yeah.
yeah, driveway. So that corner is going to be released back to us, and this is all contingent if this is approved. Currently, right now, let's say they don't approve nothing. Would we lose the right, or they'd have to renegotiate to try to get egress onto that corner?
I mean, yeah, he'd have to renegotiate that or
Okay.
build a bridge across.
Okay.
I mean, there's,
So technically, this basically is beneficial to both parties, the city and him. And it's a triangle lot, which I hate working with triangle lots. And you guys drew in the setbacks, and he's got a nice pad for a house. So with all that, I guess this is a fair compromise.
So you're saying if he doesn't do this MDA, this deal would be dead. His access point is back over to that other street, which is coming across the ditch, because there's no deal. Interesting.
So, so the question, one of the questions too, Tim, is how far are we along with negotiations for the rest of the Yorktown extension north, past this piece of property? Because I know the alignment's going to happen.
we're working with those property owners. They're aware of what we're doing here.
Right.
They've been taking note of that, attending meetings. So I think it shows, that we're making the effort to move forward, and I think they appreciate that and are continuing to work with us.
How much of that road do you think that fair share would put towards the Yorktown extension? For the ones that we were just approved last night or Tuesday night,
It put $200,000 toward it,
which is about 10 feet. No, seriously, how far along?
I mean, I think
would
you're
that-
looking at basically, the cost, for it basically is, we've got about $4.5 million there.
Mhm.
We've got about like 1.8 currently there.
Mhm.
So, that's one project, that's $200,000 there.
Mhm.
And we've got quite a bit, as development occurs here, we're gonna be collecting more then. I mean,
It's gonna be neat.
you're still collecting money on Summer Trees Road.
Mm.
I mean, that's, so that's not gonna be, people give us, $2 million check for one project there. It's gonna be, they gotta pay their fair share based on the proportion of trips that they generate in that area.
Right.
But I mean, the step was to get that project established so we can start collecting money on it.
See, that's what we were talking about before, Mike.
One of the stub outs.
You got a radius of 2 miles, whatever it is, and the projects now that are coming online have an effect on this road. So
Mhm.
it's being
Big time.
it's being paid to the right spot.
Yeah.
So I think it'll
Well, you
be-
got Oak Brook and all that stuff
yeah,
right
and it's-
there. That's is adding more.
It's going to be coming
congestion.
soon, though. That 4 million will be
Well,
capped
good.
up soon. So hopefully. All right. Any other questions for Tim on this? Any applicant?
Anybody? Bueller?
Anybody from the audience want to speak to this? Jake? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve case number 174000005.
Second.
Let her second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
John Junko?
Yes.
Maria Mills Bennett?
Yes.
Bo Bothamy?
Yes.
Mike Arminio?
Yes.
Thomas Jordan?
No.
Newton White?
Yes.
Lance Green?
Yes. All right. Welcome to the fire, Tim.
Yep. Welcome aboard.
He was already getting
Where are we?
burned.
Commissioner comments. Commissioner comments. This is where we just start blasting
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
with the wish list, right?
We thought we were gonna get out early tonight.
The sign's correct.
I'd like to go over the sign ordinance tonight, page by
In
page.
He doesn't
detail.
look phased at all.
Well, congratulations, Tim, and I think there's nobody more deserving of the job than you, and I think you're gonna do a great job. You already know the city inside and out. Everybody's got good faith in you. You're gonna do a great job.
Thanks, appreciate
Totally
it.
agreed.
Yeah.
Kind of like moving up
Congrats.
from within. That's great.
Yes.
What do you got to
from
say?
within. I
Anything?
like it.
Just here to ask any questions about current development going on.
I saw some other clearing going right past, when I went right past the Lowe's on the left, there was some clearing going on.
That's the site of
The city sold the site,
city
right?
side of the site to a developer of an ALF. Those plans have been approved, and that's going to be going into construction here shortly for a, I believe it's a 132 bedroom assisted living facility.
Wow.
And
How
another one?
many ALFs do we have coming to this city?
A lot.
Two. We have one basically at that location next to Lowe's, and then we also have the Benton House, which I believe is an 80-bed facility across the street from the schools in
Creekside
Whispering
Middle
Wood
School.
in
Yeah,
that area.
what about
The one
Very
out of Cracker
they
Creek.
sold-
What
tore down
about
the
Cracker
track.
Creek?
That MDA got approved last, I think, fall, and they have not heard any more comments on, or basically, questions from the developer on that one. It's kind of dropped off then. So that one, we don't have anything in review for that, nor have heard anything on that one for about a year now.
If that drops off, what would that do to future impact studies? I mean, would that be a credit for that, or?
I mean, in terms of impact on,
What?
It's
What do you
been
mean?
approved.
Well, what I mean is traffic, you know,
I mean, that never had a site plan,
yeah.
so we never considered that. Basically, basically, if they don't, let's say they develop it 5 years from now,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna have to deal with the traffic situations at that time then. So they might have to pay more into fair share than they would if they developed earlier,
Right.
because they didn't submit a development plan. They just got the MDA, the use permitted then. So
The longer they wait, the more it's
their
gonna cost.
traffic would basically be decided when they submit, and they'll have to basically, at that time, if they have to pay or provide more mitigation then, they'll have to do that at that time.
I'm just curious, so, okay, just food for thought. So say that project out there by Cracker Creek, it was on the book and it was gonna be X much traffic. And when we look at future projects and the future traffic studies, do we take into account this potential project, that potential
In
project?
that case, that project was never on the books because it was just more of a zoning approval.
But well, it is so.
No, we looked at concurrency.
Well, when
too,
you
and
do
it's not-
zoning like that, you're creating a potential for the traffic.
Yeah, we look at basically the traffic and the current situation there that it would be if they built at that time then, but we're not going to lock them in because basically, if we lock them in at that zoning level with concurrency and basically then, development occurred around it then basically, they're going to have to pay at the time they develop the property then.
It's kind of like a storage facility behind, right by, that got approved from us behind the Hampton Inn. Had they built when they
Council
initially
turned that down.
wanted to build, they wouldn't have had an issue with the concurrency because we didn't have the restaurant there, we didn't have BJ's there, we didn't have all the issues that they have around that road. So then they had a hard time, because of the fact that, we know there's going to be a traffic nightmare there when the other two restaurants come online on these two other lots beside the pizza place. That's going to just create even more issues with that jam right there.
When we look at basically when we do the PUDs and stuff like that and the rezonings, then we're looking at basically the existing capacity on the roads, and looking into basically that got approved. Yes, there is capacity on the roads, but we put that caveat in there. However, at the time a site plan is submitted, they will have to do a full the required TIA, which is more specific, more looking at it there, and there may be issues that arise, and they will have to be paying for that.
So the one that is out there by Cracker Creek, and if it waits 4 years or whatever, by the time they do the study then, we do the impact at that point.
time then.
It might have to be a smaller building,
So they get.
potentially, correct?
It might have to be. They might have to scale the size of the building down because the traffic associated with
Well, they
this.
scaled it down already, right?
Yeah.
From our point to the council.
Well,
point.
it did, yeah.
They
But
scaled it
Yeah,
down.
but I mean,
already, too.
that's something we'd address basically. At the
car
time it
count
gets
was still the
developed.
same.
Hey, regardless,
Yeah.
any project, when the site plan comes in, that's when those numbers
Site
get
plan or
determined.
subdivision plans is when we look at the concurrency.
Right.
So it's,
Well, that was my
so
question.
for
Yeah.
traffic, it's first come, first serve. If
So
somebody
it's not
else
just
built
this
something that
review
used up the
or
traffic
site review or
capacity,
even
the
a code.
the guy that
Yeah.
that guy would
It's
be
the
out.
actual site plan and
I think if
the
you look at,
time,
you know,
it's
that Westport
been
Reserve
built.
subdivision, they came in with, you know, initially 3 phases, 4 phases there.
A lot more
They
homes.
decided to do the first 2 phases and they waited a year and a half then, and it, you know, a
Cost
lot of
them
things.
fair share.
Yeah, and that's why you kind of wait till development comes in to take a look at what's currently there, what's at that time then, to make that decision on concurrency and apply it there. And that's what we do, you know, in all development. It's at the site plan or subdivision stage, and when you're actually looking at what that development is, because also with, you know, those PUD rezonings, it could be for, you know, 100 homes, but they decide only to build 50 then. So you want to apply it to what's actually being built then.
But what,
Right.
at what point do we have any kind of leverage on, especially Williamson, you know, going north, you know, from Dunlop and heading north? We have no control what Daytona does in their land that's on their area there. They're creating a lot more traffic because people are using that breezeway, and, you know, they're talks of going out to 44, which is planned. When that happens, I mean, what do we have as far as, like, when our concurrency is met and we can't put anything else there? Do we go to the county council or the county and ask them and lobby them?
I think we're, you know, we're already
I mean, I know the money-
communicating with
the money
county. We're communicating with county staff right now because
Yeah.
I mean that's
I
know
think
that's
that's
that
what-
point
work
now.
on,
Yeah.
on that issue there. So we're working with county staff now, basically on that Williamson, because that is key to get that widened to 4 lanes. I mean, that's, you know, the Yorktown Boulevard extension is one step basically, you know, and that leads to basically the widening of Williamson and also the other road networks that we've shown in the parts going out to the west there. It's all one system.
Yeah.
And that all needs to be built then. Yorktown's just the first step of that then. So
You
we've
brought
got
us, this was all last month, we talked
yeah,
about
so we've got
that.
momentum going there, but
It's
we
just
are
not-
going to be working with the county, talking with them to try to get the ball rolling on Yorktown. I mean, it's a significant
It's a
project
funding
with
thing.
a bridge going over I-95, but it's, you know, the talks, discussions we have to have.
Obviously, you know, your challenges are going to be the traffic in the future, and you've already been here through most of this discussion, and you know, obviously, you know what you face, and
Right.
that's what this board up here sits here, and that's all we pretty much talk about
A
is
lot of
how
things too
how
we're
we're going to
dealing with,
impact
too,
the traffic and how we're going to keep moving cars.
And you know, there we've got, you know, roads that are under county's jurisdiction and also FDOT,
Well-
and we're working with the capacities that they've set on their roads.
Yep.
That we have, you know, that we have to work here with those. It's a
and-
balancing act.
Well, and
We'll
we have no
get some
control.
chapstick.
We don't have any control what our neighbors do. Like New Smyrna, I just drove down where that sod farm is in New Smyrna, where they just approved what 800 homes, something like that, 900 homes on Pioneer Trail. Still a single lane road. Still a lot of issues because it has to be widened. They have to put culverts in to pave over there. Whether they can do that or not, make it a 4-lane road. But that's going to put a lot of more pressure on Williamson Boulevard because if we have that shopping node right there on the corner, which was planned that we approved a long time ago, that's going to create more traffic down Williamson both ways. And then you're going to have another storage facility, which is going to create some more issues with us with traffic. You know, that's possibly going that triangle. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of issues.
I'm amazed at how
And
many
Woodhaven,
cars
and
go from
Woodhaven.
Pioneer Trail onto Williamson to Port Orange.
I do.
A lot.
I do. When I'm cutting through, I'll go right down. I mean, it's a breezeway right now, but when Woodhaven goes in, it's going to be like, where do you go? Because I want to try to get past at least one of the school zones.
If you have a Porsche, you can really open her up out there.
It's a good place to go. Test her out.
Anything else for Tim?
Yes,
Thanks, Tim.
2 things for
Go
Tim.
ahead.
The storage facility that we approved, I believe, last month behind Mellow Mushroom, I believe I saw that land come up as a fresh listing in the MLS.
Were you surprised?
Well, council didn't approve that, am I correct?
Basically, what you guys saw and what got approved 3-2 by council was it's a subdivision of the property. Basically, the person that went
Oh, okay.
Lot 2, Lot
Okay.
3, or
to
whatever
create
it was.
basically create 2 lots then. I understand the applicant that was here speaking to us basically is, you know, was representing the owner and basically, you know, wanted to subdivide. So I think the sale would be basically that lot got created to the storage developer then.
Okay.
But basically all we, you know, reviewed was basically the subdivision of that 2 lots at that time then.
Because
And
it was already set for being a storage facility from its inception.
I mean, the
Well,
master
that was just
development
a
agreement
zone.
identified
We did
that as
that
one of
long
4
time.
uses that
Yeah.
could be on that lot.
And the second thing is, so that's still in works. The second thing is a little bit more complicated. In a lot of places in the city where we have a homeowners association or we had a homeowners association, their border walls, their entrance signs are falling into disrepair, are getting damaged, destroyed, and they're not getting replaced. The walls aren't being painted or cleaned. and this is no one particular place, I see it everywhere in the city, has more so as the city has aged. What does the city have to hold the HOA or to go in and take responsibility and fix it? And this also applies to drainage facilities that are in HOAs, where the HOA is supposed to be maintaining their drainage pond, their drainage structures, and they are not.
If there's HOAs and that property is owned by the HOA, then that's, code enforcement will go, work, have, cite that HOA then in that case. In the cases where basically you have the HOA is no longer in existence, there's a property owner tied to that somewhere, and that's where a lot of the research has to go in from the code enforcement staff to find out who that property owner is, to basically cite them. And that's where, you got a lot of the ones, I think, basically the older subdivisions that have had HOAs in 20 years, and those signs are in disrepair, is, one of the things that we're trying to get over and get through is trying to identify who that property owner is, because for years there has not, that HOA has been kind of gone, and there really hasn't been an identified owner on that.
Has to be.
Right, but it just takes that matter of fact of taking that paper trail.
Title search and onward, yeah.
Go there versus, it's not as easy as click on the property appraiser's office and, find Mike owns the property and go ahead and Mike, you have to clean your sign up.
Well, I mean,
it's a lot of research on that.
Because those ponds, Newton, are like an internal pond per se that are, for the community, and then they might have an outfall that goes into, a downline drainage, but.
I mean, if you got specific signs, if you want to talk to me after the meeting, I can get those locations, and I know we've got a number of them that code enforcement's working on, and I can give you an update on those properties then.
Well, Summer Trees off of Williamson is one of them. Somebody must have missed that turn and took out part of the wall. So that's one of them. But I know they're working on that and trying to get that fixed. The HOA is.
Plus, too, a lot of those ones were basically damaged recently. Then it's basically the HOA is waiting for the insurance money.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So there's a lot. We've dealt with that with code. Basically, they indicate the insurance is on those then, and that takes time for the insurance money to come.
I mean, what about the fences all the way down Spruce Creek Road, where that huge trailer park is, going all the way to Taylor, from Nova to Taylor? They have the PVC fence. Totally. I mean, I would never have a PVC fence in Florida after seeing all the damage done to all these PVC
Well, that fell in the
fences.
hurricane, didn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I mean. Wood fences
It's
stood
still
up, and that thing was just, all of them are blown away.
The weird thing is, when Matthew came,
It goes down towards your house too. It goes
Yeah.
down towards your house too.
There's
just a portion.
The PVC pipes are spaced closer together than the traditional wood. So Matthew, most of them stayed. It was Irma that knocked all the PVC.
The one, this
The
last
second
one.
one, yeah. But the first one that went, the wood ones went. And the PVC stayed. But the second one, it just couldn't
Probably
take a
would've-
sec back to back. So
But it goes all the way down to your house, down to where you turned it down.
Oh yeah, I saw PVC panels everywhere.
It's still gone. Yeah.
Do we have a time frame on when businesses are going to fix their stuff?
I know with
After
the
the
Shell
storm.
sign on Dunlop.
Well, Sonny's
with hurricane
barbecue.
damage in the past, and Matthew basically, it occurred. We gave into the first part of the year in terms of actually,
Yes.
doing code enforcement on that one. And that's the same way we're proceeding this one. I think basically the turn of 2018 is when we'll start going with those commercial businesses that had hurricane damage, and getting that would be the fence and also the sign at the Shell station there.
Yeah.
I mean, most businesses are catching up to where a sign could be replaced if you're looking, and so you got the one out front of Home Depot and
But a lot of the
et cetera,
businesses we're dealing with, and homeowners too, where we are aware of that. We're waiting. We filed with our insurance company, and we're waiting on that money to get back.
Well, at least pick it up and rig it until you.
Or knock it, or just take it out.
That one you can't rig that
Let's
one.
just take it out. But, all right, let's wrap it up. Anything else for Tim? Anybody?
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Who's got
You
comments?
haven't?
Who got
Oh
comments?
no,
Staff comments?
we're in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Are you part of the staff?
He is.
Give him 3 minutes.
Yeah, where's the timer?
Give him 3 minutes.
Where's the timer?
Well, he didn't bring his
Set the
binder
timer.
upper, so we're in good luck.
Actually, I'd like the timer, please, because at the end of 3 minutes, I want to be able to walk away. Jake Johansson, City Manager. Chair, Planning Commission, I would like to indulge a favor and ask that you all seriously consider, as in it's going to happen, so please take it, that we present most of your packets in electronic format this year, with the exception of any paperwork that's too cumbersome to read, like big plans. I understand that. We have so much paper record right now that we're spending about $240,000 to ensure its safety in the future. It's a lot easier to ensure safety of digital things and a lot easier for our citizens to get that information in the future if we can look it up by keyword and just pulling up rather than sending somebody right now to the warehouse, in the future to the Dorothy L. Huckel City Center Annex, where we're going to keep our records. But if you take a tour through finance, the hallways are covered with records. If you look at Tim's office, his office is more records than people. And I don't want to build a multi-million-dollar annex to the city hall when I can get rid of a bunch of records and put some butts in seats. So if you would all consider that, I would like to go to all electronic starting January 1st. And we'll work with you if something has to be done in paper. But I guess we also deliver them or have them available to you, so that'll stop too, and I'll be able to.
I will miss the delivery though.
And I can do that for you in my
I get
beautiful
cookies with mine,
black
so just-
car. So
You'd be able to get the
Well, consider it
surveys and
done.
stuff like this sent to us.
any cumbersome piece of paper that would not be
Surveys and
Special.
blueprints, they just make it easier to read on a
Sure.
phone.
I actually
I
read mine
think-
online.
I think you're
go to my
100%
email
on
address
that.
And I read it online before. I don't even open this until I
beep,
get.
beep, beep, beep. My 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
Consider it
I
done,
have
Jake.
one
Thank you.
one request on that.
Please.
Some feedback, because I've tried to do this
Sure.
and work with the clerk, and we've tried to do searches on the website in the documents of past meetings.
Mm-hmm.
It is cumbersome to do searches without having inside access, inside knowledge. You can search current year records pretty easily. It's the past years that are just ridiculous to try to get to.
For public records, or are you?
Yeah, agendas and minutes. If I'm trying to look up something from a past meeting, if it's from a meeting this year, it's pretty easy to find something by keyword.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the previous years, you have to open up every individual meeting minutes.
Well, Michelle wasn't here in previous years, but she's here now, so I think that's why we're.
She's the one who
I
took
think
care of it
she's
for me,
the
so.
one. So.
Am I right in that? Is
Well-
that what we discovered?
It was previous year. What was it, 2012?
No, it was 2016 was.
Well,
So-
we'll take a look.
Yeah, if it's not the current year, it's really tough to search.
Isn't that just
so.
some like fine tuning of keywords and search?
I'm sure it is.
I don't understand how
I'm
else
not-
that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's always been.
That's all I had.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays, Mr. Johansson.
Tim was not afraid to tell you. I just thought I'd come up and give you a bit of bad news for the holiday.
That's good.
We like that news.
Merry Christmas.
I for one, Jake, will say thank you very much.
Good.
The electronic version is far preferred by this individual.
Good.
Save
Good.
a tree.
Good.
Any public, any
Do
public
it.
comments?
Don't leave, Jake.
Having heard none.
Do it.
Take a motion to
Make a motion.
Motion.
adjourn.
Second.
See you next year.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Don't leave.
And Festivus for the